Go. Good evening, Louis, and welcome back. It's a couple of weeks now since we've talked, so welcome back to a chat with Carol and Louis, everyone. And this evening, we're going to try to talk about being of service. Okay, so Louis, what does that mean to you, being of service?
Being of service. For me, that means living a life where the things you're doing are bigger than you. It's for something that is bigger than you. It's more important than you and your needs being met. So it's like serving for the greater good, I think. So
Right.
we're trying to think in terms of like the best interests of the greater good, and how to cause as little harm as possible, and how the community and the environment and everything can benefit from the way you live, work. That's what I think.
Right. So being of service, I see in many different ways. One thing that I became aware of is that you're never of service, in my opinion, for another person. That being of service is always about self. Right? So right from I was a child, I always wanted to do things for other people. Even I used to run jumble sales when I was in primary school for the local hospital. And that's carried on right through my life. But it was only in after my 30s that I realized that the person that was benefiting most from the service that I give to others was actually me. That my feeling of purpose and being of use was fulfilled by being of service to others.
Yeah.
So once I had that understanding, then I realized that what quite often we're doing is we are giving to other people what we actually need for ourselves.
Yes.
Right? So I discovered that when I worked for the Smartens. So day and night, I give all of my free time to working with people who were suicidal, only to realize at the end of it, I had to leave because I myself had a complete breakdown. And what I had been doing is giving to all those other people what I needed and wasn't getting. So in the end, service enabled me to see for myself clearly how I was. So it was like a mirror back. And it helped me to heal myself. Because I realized what I was given was what I needed.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. It's all an echo. It's all
an echo. Yes.
Yes.
Because everybody out there is simply acting out a part of you.
Yes.
It might be a part you've rejected. It might be a part you don't know yet, but they're all parts of who you could be. So when you give of service to another and you heal them, although you don't actually heal them, but what you do is you highlight what needs healed in yourself. It's an echo. You're working on yourself. You're always working on yourself, never the other, because the other is an aspect of you.
Yes.
That's my view on service.
Wow.
Right. The spirituality side of it, right? I spent my whole life being of service. If somebody breaks down at the side of the road, the first person to stop and push them or help them get their car started was always me. Right? Now, I've retired from doing all my healing work. I've retired from my Reiki. I've retired from my shamanism, because I am now in a place where anything that needs to be done on me, I identify myself. I have no need for mirrors and reflections, because I heal myself now, instantly almost. And the work that I do now is making me the best that I can be, because my time is ticking away. The purpose of others is over. So my service has gone down. I worked in community care. I worked in learning support, all service jobs. But for the same reason, in school, I probably needed that person, but never got it. The care work is giving love and compassion to others because you need it yourself. And it's all a learning curve. So let's have some feedback to that now. What do you think of that?
Wow, I think that's really lovely. I think
Yeah.
yeah, I do think it's an echo. I've been thinking, like, and I've been writing about things and people echoing, and I'm very interested in echoism and echolalia, particularly in terms of the work I do with autistic people or with neurodivergent, ADHD, ASD. I think living a life, maybe then it's not always living a life as service, but it's living a life that's meaningful to you.
Has a purpose.
Has a purpose.
Has a purpose.
I actually I haven't bought this magazine in ages, Psychologies.
I used to buy that. That magazine is actually excellent.
Yeah, I used to all the time, but
excellent.
But it has the purpose on it. And living a meaningful, purposeful life seems to be really of the moment. Like, it seems to be people are really thinking about it, and they're trying to live a life that's not just about like getting the car or getting the house and, you know, just looking after yourself. So they're trying to do something bigger than
in my life. In my mind, all of those things are just a distraction and an illusion from the reality of life. While people are chasing cars and houses and things and stuff, they never become who they really are.
Aye, but then a lot of people don't actually come to me and they're like, I don't actually have a clue who the hell I am. Like, I've done everything that they told me at school. Like, I am the solicitor, I'm running the company. I'm the, you know, I'm successful, but I actually don't know who the fuck I am.
Yeah. Who you are has nothing to do with your job or what you have or what you own or what you think and what you desire. Who you are is the person that you see when you look inwards, not outwards.
Aye.
And most people now don't take that time to sit in stillness with themselves and look inwards, because that's where they are. They're not out there in the world. Reflections of them are there in every other person, but the real them is inward.
Yeah. And
you know.
Yeah, well, and one of the other things about the problems, I think, with some of the spiritual conversations and the spiritual dialogues is, you know, we're not allowed to really fully embrace and talk about the shadow, or we're not allowed to be often to be fully human.
I'm glad you said the word human, because I was thinking about this yesterday when I was driving along in the car.
Yeah.
Being of service, to be of true, real service, which I'm probably going to be more of service now that I've stopped being of service, right? I'm not doing it on purpose. But now that I am more my real, authentic self and coming from a place of love rather than fear, that will overflow. And the effect of that energy on the people around me is of more service to them than me doing anything else,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
my words to people seem to help raise their vibe. Because people tell me they could talk to me all day and listen to me. So I have no need to do anything to be of service other than be my true, authentic self, coming from a place of love and compassion and understanding of all.
Yes.
So that I am kind to every person I meet.
Yes.
That's true service. And that's what we were born for. And if everyone could reach that spiritual place, what a world it would be.
Yeah.
Because nobody would be different from anybody else. Because we'd all see the authentic self, which is all connected because it's the soul. And every soul is connected to every other soul, and that is the one. So once you realize when you're abusive to another, you're abusive to yourself. When you're kind to another, you're kind to yourself.
Right. Now, this is one of
Right?
the massive issues, though, Carol, because women are walking around thinking that they've got to be fucking angels and the Virgin Mary and the fucking purest thing ever.
No,
And they're like,
no,
they're-
they've got to be authentic. Authentic includes anger. It includes honesty.
yeah,
Honesty includes feelings. So it's not about me saying, because what I do to you, I do to me, I have to accept everything you do, even if it's abusive. It means if you're abusive, I'll say, stop.
yeah,
I deserve better than this, and walk away.
yes,
Right? I mean, I have been abused and many times, but it would not happen now.
right, because you don't entertain.
Because I took my power back.
Aye, we don't entertain.
And I wouldn't entertain it for 10 seconds. I would walk away. Whereas when I was younger, you got into it, your ego took you into it full blast and you fought. Because you had to be right and you had to win. Whereas now, I don't care about the outcome of anything, except that I'm at peace inside.
Yes.
Right? So my service to others now is to me to be a fully loving, compassionate human being. That's it. No other service required.
Yeah. And you know what, though? Sometimes that requires, for me anyway, a lot of solitude.
It requires solitude. It requires courage. It requires taking the time to make sure you're in full alignment with your true self. So time alone is essential for everyone. Just the majority don't do it. So they never get to know themselves.
But
they live in families, right? So when they're at home, there's people buzzing about all over. They don't get 2 seconds to themselves. They go to work. They're among people. I would say that everyone, with no exceptions, needs to take an hour every day and go out and walk in nature. So that they can learn who they truly are. Because that's where I become my true self, is when I go alone, not with anyone else, alone with my camera and go out into nature. Sometimes it's at the dark of night following the full moon. Sometimes it's following a sunset. And sometimes it's just walking along water or through a forest. And when I'm in that place and connect with nature, that is a whole different reality and a whole different human to the one that used to be in the middle of all this chaos and never took time to herself and worked and worked and worked. So after many years, I discovered that that's the secret. Get in touch with your true self. So to be of service to others, you first have to be of service to yourself. And that's where your compassion has to go first. And once you have took yourself to a place where you feel that peacefulness and love for yourself, then you can give it to others. And that is the genuine service to others. And it's only now that I am genuinely being of service to others. Because when I was broken and living not as my authentic self, my service was always about me. So there you are.
Yeah. I think
So yes.
so from Europe, right? So it's Easter.
Yes. It's Easter. Right.
Easter, but I was just thinking from your perspective of being of service, and you think about Jesus and the life that Jesus lived.
Right.
Think about him actually, like, and it's tragic. He was actually giving what he wasn't getting from others, and he was being.
Yeah. When I look at Jesus or the Bible or God or religion, my religion tells me that Jesus was symbolic of how we are meant to live as human beings.
Yes, yes.
He wasn't somebody we were meant to worship. He wasn't somebody we were supposed to see as high above us that we could never be like. It's actually the example of how we should all be.
Embodying
That way of humanity.
Christ consciousness, they call it,
Absolutely, Christ consciousness. And once you reach Christ consciousness, you have a greater understanding. I do believe that's where I am.
Yeah, there's a Netflix documentary or something, or like on this man in Australia, like he's like, I am Jesus.
Yeah, we are all not Jesus, but we are all following. If we're doing it right, we should be following in his way of life.
Yes, but the documentary was like, well, there are apparently 17 men all over the world who think they're Jesus, and I'm like,
yeah, I'm not Jesus.
Fucking listen to the message. Like, it's consciousness, dude. You've reached that level of having consciousness. Doesn't mean you're fucking Jesus. Like,
no, it means you've got an understanding of what being human actually means.
There's this wife going, he keeps saying he's Jesus. I'm like, I think he's Jesus. I'm like, so, he needs to fucking sort.
To me, that's what Jesus is about. It's showing the way. Now, Jesus was no saint. You know, if you read about Jesus, he wasn't a saint, but he was a human, and he reached out to others the way I'm talking about. The story, I mean, I went to Sunday school when I was a child, because you did. I used to have to put on a wee white coat, white sandals with buckles, and a wee hat with a blue ribbon around it. I'll never forget it, because I was a tomboy. And my mum put that on me every Sunday to go to Sunday school. And I was mortified, because if ever anybody wasn't their authentic self, it was that, right? But I listened. I listened to every word. And the one that stuck with me was the Good Samaritan. And to me, that is exactly the example, the symbolism that we all need to live by.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, Jesus, indeed.
So I'm just like, the Good Samaritan is a great story. I just remembered, like, in P7, they made me play Ruth in. I remember they always wheel me out for performance, like. Doesn't give a shit, and she just gets stuck.
She'll do anything.
She's no shame whatsoever. Get Louise out. Anyway, they had me. The headmaster came to watch, and Ruth kisses, she or washes or does something with her husband's feet.
Oh yes.
Well, I've got the fit of giggles. Now, if that wasn't a fucking sign of things to come, where I was not.
But you know what that says to me? There is the patriarchy in the Bible.
Exactly, and there's me to get weed me out.
Your husband is well able to wash his own feet. Ruth, get up, Ruth, and take your power back. That's what you should have been saying.
I was 9 or 10, and I knew it was fucking ridiculous. So I was like,
yeah. So that's the problem. The Bible itself teaches some good things symbolically. People take it too literal. It's not literal, it's symbolic. And a lot of it is patriarchal.
Oh,
It was the absolute beginning of patriarchy.
oh,
If
Jesus.
you read through the Bible, all the women are submissive, subservient.
But is that not what Christianity did? It like brought in patriarchy, like it was.
Absolutely. It did.
Well,
So being of service is taking back your power so that you know your true self and nothing can touch that because you've took your power back, and going out into the world as an example to others of how life can be.
yeah.
And I do believe I do that.
Oh, do you know what? I think empowering people to be their
Them true selves. That's it. That's the service to others.
That's what I think. That's what I hope people, when they watch this, they go, do you know those two? They're a bit mad. Maybe
Yeah.
that's
If there's any man in my life, it's as an equal. And if they're not as an equal, get out of my road.
there's
I
very
will not. To me, everyone is equal. We were all born as little babies and equal. And my service to others is, no matter who you are, no matter what you think you've done in life, no matter where you are in life, I will look you in the eyes, my equal. And if you have some kind of an ego that tells you you're above me, I will still look you in your eye as my equal. I will never see anyone as above me or below me. So yeah.
But you know what? But that's one of the things when you start to figure people, like once you kind of live that kind of life, people start like showing you who you are and why you're good at what you do and how you can help people. One of the things that I think is people were teaching me, like I'm not trained in compassion focused therapy, but clients kept thinking I was. They were like, but yours is compassion. So they were showing that it was very, for me, I didn't look. I think most people often, compassion is seeing somebody suffering and not looking away. For me, it would be, because so few people have been willing to help me and whatever, I can't look away. If I see suffering, I'm like, no, you have to, because that's, as you said, that was what I needed and didn't get. So when they were saying compassion, I was able to clearly see, yes, compassion is definitely something that has lacked a lot in my life. I have like, and I think, Carol, you're very, very compassionate, and there are people now who I have close to very compassionate. But what I didn't have was what I was able to give to others. But the other thing is, once you kind of know, like people were able to tell me the shittest things that have ever happened. And I was, without even trying, I was always able to see where it, like the alchemy.
How to turn it.
How you could fucking turn it, how you could subvert situations, how you could take a real shit show and make it incredible.
And use it to bring back your power.
Oh,
see it as a contrast.
I was able
to see it as what you never want to happen again. And especially as women. Women. I mean, I see women who, and I work for Women's Aid, so I've seen abuse and I know it's out there. But when women realize they're being abused, they try to fix it. So many try to fix it because it's what they're used to. This world is so abusive that people think it's normal. A lot of people think, well, it's because he loves me, and it's not. It's because we've been brought up to think that we must do what men say. So if we don't do what men say, they get angry. If we don't keep them peaceful and passive and do everything they need, because that's what they're taught. From the church to education to parents. My parents taught me that my brother was more important than me. But I have since shown them that, no, he wasn't. And there's so much lack of power in women. They need to take it back. The church stole it way back in the 600s, 700s. We need to take it back. It's been too long.
We do.
Yep, absolutely. So my service to the world is to show women how an empowered woman lives. That's what I do. And I hope they see it. In fact, I think they do. From the feedback I get, I think they do.
Yeah. Oh no, like I think a lot of what I like, right, and I think it would be great to do another episode, and just where we've nearly been done half an hour.
Yeah.
What I do, right, I think like narcissism is a big buzzword, and there are a lot of narcissists. There are a lot who can often look like they're caring, compassionate people, and like you feel by them, but you will
scratch the surface.
Exactly right. So what I think, whenever I think society rewards narcissists a lot, it rewards sociopaths, it can reward them. So what I think I do is I actually encourage people to keep opening their heart, even when they've been hurt.
Yeah.
I keep opening it, keep trusting, and then just be better at your boundaries and be clear when.
Right.
So red flags, like I would have been somebody who the red flags would have been there, and I would have gone, oh, but we're all human.
Yeah. Well, my theory is treat everybody as if they're good until they prove they're not, and then walk away.
Yes. So yes. Well, it's kind of like if red flags and butterflies can feel very, very same. My theory is now.
Yeah.
The more I think that the person I will settle down with and will be very fucking boring. There won't be a lot of drama in that intimate relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I watched that in quite a lot of things. There is beauty in the mundane. There is beauty in a lack of drama in your closest relationships. There's beauty in cups of tea and silence. There's beauty in your nervous system being a complete fucking calm sea.
Like people always said I was very sensitive, right?
Yes.
I may be sensitive, but I'm also get great joy out of the simplest of things. I sat out one day out front and I watched a spider doing its web, the whole web. And I actually videoed part of it. And I just sat there. And that to me was mind-blowing joy. I thought, wow, thank you, spider, for showing me that. Because if you've ever watched a spider doing its web, it is the most fascinating process. And then we come along and wipe it off with a brush. After all that work. I never destroyed a spider's web from it.
Yeah.
I've sat in the garden and looked eye to a mouse. Wow. I picked up a little bat that couldn't fly off the footpath and took it to the vet and got it healed and took it back and put it back where it was. That's where my joy is. Simple little pleasures that don't involve money. They don't involve stuff. They involve compassion for everything. From the fly on my windowsill to that little bat. I lifted a seagull off the middle of the road one day. It had been hit by a car. And it was fluttering about in the middle of the traffic. And I got out of my car and I stopped the traffic. And I lifted it and it bit the almighty chunk out of the side of my hand. And I took it to the vet. Because here's a wee thing that most people don't know. All vets must treat wildlife if you bring it in injured.
That's being of service. That's a service.
That's being of service to those animals. Yes.
Yeah. Now all our viewers
know they're going to get all these wild animals brought in, and so they should.
They'll be like that fucking chat with Carol and Lou.
Yeah. I used to work in wildlife sanctuary. Your compassion and your love cannot just be for humans. It has to be for everything on this planet. Because that's what you're part of. And until you take up your place as part of the whole, you're never going to be fulfilled.
Yeah, before we and can I say, like, if you're like, if there's things that I have unpleasant responses to or really strong, I just stay away. Just avoid. So that's showing you who you are. Like, like everybody, like if you look at phobias, there's so many phobias people have, and I always think that they're just telling you about who you are. Like one of the
Yeah.
most common phobias is spiders. Like it's
Yeah.
just people, but that's, I think that's people are scared.
People aren't really afraid of spiders. They're afraid of something bigger than that, but the spider takes up the symbolic meaning of it.
Yes, the spider represents creativity. It represents so often if
Like
they're
watching it doing, if you watch a spider doing its web, I have that video. If I find it, I'll send it to you because it's amazing.
yeah, and I used to be scared of birds, right? But I'm not
Yeah.
scared anymore. But that was before I really accepted myself. Now I understand that perspective of birds, and birds being in the air where most things were on the ground, whereas that terrified me, and now I love birds and
Well,
wearing tattoo.
everything outside of the self is a reflection of what's inside. So if
Yeah.
you have fear outside, you have fear inside.
Yes.
And once you work through, that's part of your work of becoming your authentic self. That is your shadows, your fears,
Yeah, but you
your
know what?
hopes, your pains. But the shadow also has a lot of your good side, your passions, your skills. It's all in there. And until you unpack it, you will never know what you can do.
But I also think, like, especially with my work, I would also think a lot of people I work with have very high levels of anxiety. So you're managing.
Yeah.
I actually think it's quite healthy to have some fears. It's just managing them to have so they
Human
don't.
to have fear.
Yeah, like it's good to be scared of.
Like if I'm going to see a really angry dog barking and snarling and coming running towards me, I would be frightened. Even though I love animals, because something in that dog has made it angry and it's about to take it out on me. So I would be very foolish to put my hand out and try and be compassionate.
Exactly. So fear, it's kind of like listening to the messages.
Yeah.
But Carol, lovely having another chat with you.
Absolutely amazing. I did miss it last week, but I was away and nothing we could do about that.
Well, I don't know what we've been up to, but time
Flew.
just but here we are. This is
Here we
next
are back
step we
again, and we'll
can.
be back next week to continue this.
Back in the game. Hey, we don't know what we're
Hey,
going
back
to
in
do
the
next
game
week,
is right.
but we'll
So
do good.
good to see you.
Good to see you, Carol.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Good night.